We know who Europe is sending to the major, but we don't know who is going to be hoisting the flag as the #1 team on the way. Who's going over with all of the momentum? Johnny, I cannot wait for this. It is time for our European Grand Prix finals.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff to witness. Not only do we get to see Endpoint win a regional early in the split, we get to confirm that it wasn't, as some are calling it, a flash in the pan. Done it again, made it to a final, but I tell you what, they're down already. Both teams going for a very close streak kickoff, and Endpoint have not got a goalkeeper. CeX turning up the line here, not able to cover the net. Metza unable to get in the way of Archie. That's 1-0 Semper already.
Yeah, it's already very different to what Endpoint were against earlier on. They got back-to-back kickoff goals against Dignitas. Kind of stole that game, but this time around, they've been immediately informed of what they are up against. Semper have been finding their form throughout this split. It's not necessarily been the quickest show of strength. Here they are, grand finals against the only team that we've got that can get themselves 2 tournament victories. As we see the shot, look at the top corner. What a great save by Archie and Chaussette, making sure that there's going to be no follow-up danger. Something that Semper are going to be very good at here, actually, is going to be to smother the follow-up shots and not allow any other additional movements. Very difficult to find a rebound against a team like this.
Yeah, Semper need to be careful looking out for those changes of playstyle coming out of Endpoint. BDS were very consistent throughout their semi-final they just played against Semper. Semper didn't really need to adapt at all. I expect that they're going to need to, not just because they're against Endpoint, who are a bit more versatile than BDS these days, but because we could be seeing 3 series, at least 2. That's a lot more time to make those adaptations. Nice save there by Metzonaris, deflecting the ball to the safe side of the box. Chance to the other end. Double, and the last man saves the shot anyway. Cassio didn't really know a lot of what was going on there, but through the smoke makes the save.
Well, you can only take out 2, but apparently still wasn't good enough. Now Archie looks to dance around everybody. Let's go still an extra bit of boost. He's got Relating Wave. Just trying to charge him behind him. Gets the play done beforehand. Back and forth between us. Seiko. He can set up from this sort of position. He's not really going to have the support required. Lots of games to work with. As you mentioned earlier on, Johnny, lots of potential timeouts. Maybe a lot of potential jumping jacks for those over on Endpoint. Don't want to get themselves too tired. Maybe figure out some different things you can do.
They've used their timeouts well. It's no difference from a lot of the other top teams at the moment. I'm really impressed with their abilities to change up the game plan. But Semper just going to sit on this 1 goal lead, it would seem. They are quite happy to defend. Very far back with their 3rd man, usually, especially compared to the other European teams. Endpoint already showing that they're wanting to take those players out of the frame. That's a shot for Seiko. It's going to go through, but not past Cassio again. 2nd goal line save for him.
That 1-0 lead is going to stay where it is. Cassio just taps the ball on. Let's see if he can find a little bit of space where a blue car was not. Oh, double commit, but they'll be just fine. Plenty of time to reset. That's at least the good news. The bad news, it's more time off the clock that they could really use to find that goal. Seiko looks for the shot. More than easy enough for Chaussette. The best goalkeepers that we have got over in Europe. The backboard. Not exactly the boom and clear Relating Wave would have been after. It's going to drop down awkwardly. You can already see it. 2 players both went up, and I don't think that was listed a communication error. As it was, we need to get into the air to make sure we're not going to get hit.
Yeah, they're just happy to commit to that near post. They don't want to let the ball center. Make sure they keep control as well and land quickly. That's the key for Semper. Keep these fast recoveries coming through. An uncontested shot from Relating Wave off the post this time.
What is it going to take?
Endpoint just can't get that goal. They're still pressing for it though. Metza past 1, uses the ceiling to center the ball. Archie runs out of boost midair. He can't get to it. Neither can Cassio. It's surely going to come for Endpoint. Seiko double. It's denied by the bar.
You've hit the last player after 2 demos. You've hit the post. You've hit the crossbar. Surely they've zeroed in on this at this point. No way do Endpoint not get a goal. Up goes Relating Wave. Oh! It's finally in.
Forcing it through. Relating Wave just absolutely slamming it on target. They're starting fast in the grand final. This is what we criticized them of yesterday. They just didn't have the snap on their shots until later on in their quarterfinal. Not the same today. They are coming out hot. Semper have to respond now. They really don't want to leave themselves in that kind of position. Shot set. Denied, but not actually enough. Seiko got a touch on it, but it's got in.
I think that's a great example of hitting the ball so hard, it doesn't matter who's there. Shot puts it low, and it's him from Seiko. And yeah, you can hear from Johnny exactly why Relating Wave might have wanted that himself.
Yeah, it looked like Seiko just called it, and he was pretty confident that he had a save there, but you can't dodge downwards. Oh, Relating Wave's off the post and out. That bounce really just did him there. He wasn't ready for it. Not that you can blame him. That might be just open for Archie. Chausette's going to put it in instead. Archie didn't have boost. Chausette does. Wow, what a turnaround. Semper lost the lead. Now they've got it and doubled it.
This is going to be an awful loss for Endpoint if this ends up going against them because, well, they should have scored. They've got 3 against them. They will feel that they could have easily scored 4. Oh, yeah. The amount of shots that they've had, the positions that they've been in. Endpoint really, really up against it here. 45 seconds to get themselves 2 goals. Good tap on from Archie. He's got this Casio, and right move from Casio. Play this in a way that only involves you, doesn't ruin the rotation for your team, and takes off as much time as possible. Archie, once again, manages to read where that ball was going. Metza looking to try and give his team at least 1 more shot. And Semper continues to prove that they will just kill as much time off the clock every single opportunity they get, and they're so good at it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the strategy that Endpoint have gone for here. Physical play being prioritized against the very defensive backline of Semper. That is expected, but notice all the ground play as well. They've really tried to keep this one low, despite the wonderful solo aerial plays that we saw from them in the semi-final. It's not going to pay off here, though. And it is in fact going to be another goal there for Archie, just skipping over the line on 0 seconds. Game is already confirmed, of course. Yeah, Semper just took the chances. Clinical performance from them, and I like what I'm seeing from all 3 players today, not just the Archie show like it was yesterday.
Absolutely not. Semper coming straight in with the momentum of winning their previous series. Looking very, very good here. And as you mentioned, Endpoint a lot more demo focused this time around. Maybe taking a couple of cues from the Dignitas team that they were just up against. Semper is about keeping all of those players in motion. And I like that. I like what they're doing defensively. I appreciate that it's not just a panic mode to try and outplay as many people as possible. It's just get a player behind the ball, make sure you can force the challenge. And defensively, unless your opponents want a full send for it, you should have somebody in a better position for the follow-up after the challenge.
Yeah, the Semper defense, it has such high potential. I mean, we've all seen what Chausette can do in the past, and you wonder, is Chausette just not ever going to reach that peak ability again? A lot of interest in him from several teams in the offseason would suggest that they still have a lot of faith in him having that ability. And it's all about the defense for me when I'm watching Chausette play. That's how you can tell if he's playing well. Is he making saves, or is he just missing his pre-jumps? Is he actually landing quickly and making multiple plays in defense, or is he just out the game for an extended period of time? That's been the key for this guy's, I think, at least a year of his Rocket League career into last season. Today, absolutely phenomenal. Semper are making saves across the board. Casio had a couple of clutch ones in that first game, sorry. And of course, we all know what Archie can do. So if they can all keep this up, they look phenomenal. And they're doing this at the perfect time as well, right before the major in Sweden.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this is a very good team dynamic for him, purely because we've got I'm sure people at home as well got sick of us talking about like Chausette being the talisman of the teams that he's on, and then he doesn't perform and we just start questioning it. Now he's with a team with a player like Archie on it, who will very happily see as much of that ball as he possibly can. Chausette can now do what he does best. He's a fantastic reader of the game. And now that you've got someone that's sort of setting the pace for you, Chausette can now focus more on that strength.
Nice mind game there by Chausette. 50-50s have also been solid for him. That's not something Semper have always been known for. Preferring to go for clean out plays than brute force. Flip reset for Seiko. Goes right through Casio's 50 midair. That's another double commit technically in defense for Semper, but really no problem about that. You might as well just throw as many bodies in the way of that shot and make sure that the save is actually coming through. Great interception by Chausette. Again, making huge plays, denying Endpoint that offensive pass.
Endpoint have really struggled to break down Semper so far. The good news is they've been trying different things. Metza, 0 boost. Can't quite get it past Chaussette. Two of the longest standing veterans that we've got in the scene, let alone just in this grand finals. That's the pass over to Archie. Well read by Seiko. Difficult to even figure out that your opponent can make that angle for the pass. Yeah, somehow Seiko proving that mechanics isn't the only thing he can do. He's also exceptional at figuring out what the next play is. Chaussette, bit of time, wins the challenge. And the Semper getting a little bit more used to as this goes along. Powerful shot, Seiko. Well, I've been happy to let that one hit the crossbar, but also wanted to make sure of it.
Still very composed performance from Semper. No surprise now after the run they've had this weekend. Of course, everybody knows what Endpoint can do in a bracket after Regional 1 for Europe. They're just using Chaussette brilliantly here as that cleanup man in defense. He is making sure to always be there, but now here's Seiko. Early flip for him will center to Metza. Semper quick to recover as always, just keeping as many bodies behind the ball as they can.
Metza's tasked with holding the midfield. He's done exactly that. You see Semper, a lot of the camera angles that we're going over to on them starts off with them being either no boost or less than 30. Been difficult for them to really manage it thus far, but it's not led to them being caught out until Metza's shot. Wasn't much on it, but that was maybe the most difficult part of that shot was that it didn't really have the power that a lot of players would have expected it to have. Be following up to the backboard, relating wave, making sure that Archie isn't going to get himself a freebie. Halfway through game number 2. Relating wave outpaces Seiko. It's going to be a tough angle. He'll always give it a go. He wasn't followed. That's the follow. No! Somehow, it was almost saved, but Metza got enough purchase on the ball to turn it in for 1-0.
A great angle shot from Metza with the air roll. How about that from Casio as well? Having to dodge just to get around that ball and turn what looked like an own goal into a save. But the spin as the ball hit the post just sent it right back into the net. 1-0 Endpoint. Seiko going to try and make it 2 here. He's up against Chaussette and he gets past him. Seiko doubles it up for Endpoint.
This time it's Endpoint that gets some kickoff goals. Look at that Chaussette. He dares him. And Seiko, well, he'll never back down from the dare. 2-0 to Endpoint, answering back fantastically after game number 1 got away from them. And now we switch the way we look at this, Johnny, because we now know that Semper struggled from behind. I mean, Endpoint struggled when they were behind. They gave up a couple of freebies. What is Semper going to do now that they're the team they have to chase?
I mean, just looking at the reactions from the Endpoint boys every time they score, even when something goes wrong, I just love what I'm seeing from them.
That could be a fantastic game. We just get a whole bunch of cameras from Metza after goals have gone in, and you just have to guess, did they concede or score?
So what happened in the run-up to this one? I mean, that's what you want in a teammate. You want people that, when you get a good goal, they hype you up. And when you mess up, as inevitably happens at some point for even the best Rocket League players, you've got teammates who back you up. And Endpoint have got that in spades. They've got that in-person chemistry as well. I think that's going to give them so much more comeback potential in a long series like this. It's key for Semper to stay close and try just to make sure not to let Endpoint run away with any games or a streak of games. That being said, Semper have had a few impressive comebacks in best of 5s recently, so it's not entirely Endpoint who've got the comeback potential of this matchup. I think it just shows that they've got more of it.
Off the backboard, Archie can't run to the shot. Instead, he taps it off the shot.
Wow.
Unreal passing play. And how about that for a lack of selfishness?
Oh, look at that pass from Archie. Chaussette is right beside him. But the blind pass hits the target. Chaussette does not miss the shot. That's really well done. Full team passing play. Everybody in the final third. Everybody pretty much in the Endpoint box there. And we're talking about Semper players. They are really putting it together here as a full team. Casio at the back post. He's actually intercepted the clear, but the lightning wave will guide it onwards to the midfield.
We've been here. Chaussette lost it last time. This time he'll do fine.
It's always dangerous when you see Seiko coming at these players. You know, you might not know because he hasn't had the presence in the 1v1 scene as some of the other top players in EU, but he is phenomenal in solo positions.
Yeah, unbelievably difficult to get the read on Chaussette. Always just unbelievably difficult to win a challenge against. So it does make it a very interesting matchup, and hopefully we'll get to see that one play out a few more times in a very short stint of 1v1. But now, though, 20 seconds. That ball is exactly when they want it to be. Drops down, Metza. Taps it on. Relating wave. He's going to follow. Just keep that ball as far away from the blue side of the field as is possible. Cassio realizes that he's going to get one more shot at this. Bit of a wasteful hit, really. Not too sure where he wanted that one to go. And with that one dropping to the ground, we've got ourselves a tied-up series.
A really big game there for Endpoint. Immediately ending that winning streak that Semper were on when you combine their semi-final end and the start of the final here. Endpoint have gotten right back into this, and wow, what a team. I'm so impressed that Metsonoris is not just playing in grand finals in the most, I think, volatile and the most unpredictable region that Rocket League has ever seen. You know, if we compare this season's EU to any other EU season or any other season of any region, this is, I think, the most ridiculous it's ever been. And Met's still here in grand finals, and he doesn't look out of place mechanically. You always expect to see those older players to just be clinging on to relevancy, but he's brilliant. He's learned their role right, left. He's completely reinvented himself. Hats off to him. I mean, that's just so inspiring to see.
Meta, I feel, and feel free to disagree with me, he feels more relevant to the games that he's in now than he was in Season 5.
I agree. Like, absolutely.
It's ridiculous. I've never seen somebody, well, actually, we've seen quite a few because you've had to be honest, but Meta, he felt like he was one of those players, you say, oh, he's a positioning player, you know, he'll be fine. That was a kind of a warning shot to a lot of people. I was saying, all right, you're a positioning player, you're going to get overtaken by the highly mechanical players that also learn positioning.
Yeah.
Meta's gone the opposite direction. He's got so much Rocket League IQ that he's now supplementing with mechanics.
Yeah, that's maybe going to inspire some other Rocket League legends to slap on the air roll right and left and make a comeback to the top. I'm thinking, of course, Cuxter with his almost top 8 appearance this weekend's EU event. That'd be pretty cool to see. Overlating wave, denied by Cassio. Semper still putting in big saves. Oh, what a touch by Metza, getting an extra piece on the end of that one that I don't think Semper were expecting. Nobody on his team expected him to pull it off either.
Both teams do a really good job of not showing their hand too early on the plays. They give their opponents a lot of different looks, with a lot of different threats, and then just switch it up at the last possible moment. Letting wave keeps that pressure on. This is one of the more frequent uses you'll see. Backboard attempt. Good enough, though, as CeX just gets rid. Won't worry about anything else for the time being. Don't look at that orange side of the field too much longer. Now their opportunities are going to start coming towards them. CeX is clouded into, and now a chance for Endpoint. CeX trying to recover. He's done enough. That's the reason why what's going on the ball is very important, but everyone at home, you got to keep an eye on what's happening away from the ball as well, because one hit can completely disrupt the rotation.
A nice little mid-air pinch attempted there from Semper. Weren't far off connecting cleanly with it. Endpoint sticking to the game plan. I love that from them. They've lost game 1, but they know that it wasn't really the game plan that was the problem. They were just missing out in the final touches, the execution of those shots. Now the demos are still raining in, and this is a really grounded play. Doesn't look like the kind of thing Semper wants to go up against. Here's CeX. Oh, what challenge by CeX. He just predicted that first touch by CeX. An immediate shot would have gone past him, but he read CeX on that one.
I'm getting so many CeX versus Seiko 1v1 situations. I'm all for it. That was CeX's first opportunity to be at least on the offensive side. Didn't quite do anything for it, so it still remains 1-0 to Seiko, at least in that regard. Archie's going to have his own attempt, and once again, Seiko's having absolutely none of that. Drops down. Who's going to be the first of this play? Cassio daring the challenge to come on. Opportunity passed over to Archie. That wasn't the best touch from CeX. Archie tries to keep the play going. You need to be so on point, so precise with your execution, CeX. Seiko versus Archie. Archie's got yet another one put past him by an unrelenting Seiko.
This guy's just got it all, simply. He's got the aerial game, and he's got the ground game as well. He just waits until Archie commits, flies around the right-hand side of the ball, and puts the shot behind him. Unbelievable from Seiko. Just get this man the ball in the final third, and he'll do the rest. How do you stop him? You need at least 2 players. You can't just expect to still defend consistently against this guy.
Way.
Oh, relaying wave, maybe not quite. Seiko, though, still denied. Cassio's huge.
How are they coming up with this so quickly? Everyone is just so keenly aware of the other 5 players on the pitch. It's going to be relating wave. He doesn't need any help. He's going to try and take it by himself. 1-0 still the scoreline. Endpoint just want to hold on for a little while longer. They're going to look at another one. And it is an unfortunate own goal. Ball would have been on the goal line. And that is going to be credited to Relating Wave.
Well, Archie's a bit cheeky with his positioning on that one. Just a touch off the goal line, like you said. Could easily be inside it. And that would have been a much easier clear to make. But I mean, Archie does like to do that. He'd rather stay close to the ball in defense and rely on his mechanics to get him out of those awkward positions. But you do wonder, would it just be easier to get in the net there? And then you don't even need to be mechanical to make the save.
Oh, Shosset's caught a little bit out here. Metza looking to try and make it free. Relating Wave will have the option to do so. They decided that 2-goal leads is enough. Don't need to overcome it in that third-man role. Seiko's not done just yet. Oh, Seiko's not a one-shot wonder. He was phenomenal in the European Open, and he's letting us know that that was not a one-off.
I love that he's able to place that as well. Lean back reset into a ground pinch, and he's actually placing where the shot goes. This guy is just unbelievable. Easily the best player on the pitch at the moment when it comes to offensive plays. He's got two of the best in the business backing him up behind him. Seiko almost puts another one on. That's the crossbar to the rescue of Semper, not for the first time this series.
Archie off the ceiling. Metza can't quite get the ball before him. There's also a double commit. Huge opportunity to at least get one back before it's too late. Metza ends up leaving it. That could very well be game 3, heading over to Endpoint. Archie over to the far side. Unless this goes in almost immediately, it will be game 3 done and dusted. What a series we have had so far. We've got potential for 19 more of these. Endpoint have got the lead.
Man, Seiko is just unstoppable in offense at the moment. But how about Relating Wave as well? So many key touches in the midfield. I struggle to think of a player who reads the game as well as he does recently. He's absolutely at the top tier. Just predicting what the other team are going to do, being in the right place at the right time, and making it all look so easy as well. This is, I think, the reason why Endpoint looks so consistent at the moment is this guy at the back, Relating Wave. Such a good defender and such a good presence for them. And you rarely see him make a bad touch. It's something that he just quietly gets done again and again. Semper timeout now. Deep thought for Cassio and Archie there. Shosset not going to try and open any cans, so he means business as well.
Yeah, overall, I mean, Relating Wave, he just crunches every single challenge that he's ever a part of. It is very difficult to get anything that is going to just go straight past him. Semper, they are now taking their timeout. Currently on the day, 4-0 on the game afterwards for the team that just took the timeout. So they'll look to try and add to that. Get us to a 2-game each series. I'm wondering what's being said right there, because we've seen how it's very obvious over on the Endpoint side what's going on. You get a chance to see them. They're all standing up. They're all chatting to each other. But when you've got a team like that, it gets a little bit more dubious as to what information is currently being conveyed.
If I were to guess what the conversation sounds like for Semper at the moment, I would imagine it mostly revolves around how to stop Seiko, because Relating Wave's putting in work in defense, but they don't really need to worry about that. That's not putting the ball in their net. It's Seiko who's really just ripping them apart mostly. And he's, I think, the thing that they've got to address. He's just, every time he gets into a 1v1, he outplays the man in front of him. So pretty simple answer to how to sort that out is don't leave anyone alone against Seiko. You never really want to leave anyone alone against anyone in 3v3. That's the point of having 3 players in the field, but especially Seiko. You cannot give this guy a free run at your teammate. You have to pressure the ball when he's got it. You need to go early and force a move before he's right in front of your net and putting it in the top corner.
It feels like this is something that we saw Semper develop against BDS that worked against BDS, sitting very deep, allowing BDS to sort of make their own plays. All right, we're fine. We're out of backside of the field. We can just take the boost, get rid of the ball nice and easy. But when you're against a team like this, suddenly not trying to contest that midfield becomes a little bit more dangerous, because you are going to give Seiko that kind of space. So it will be very interesting to see now heading into game 5 with what seems to be a timeout buff by their side. What Semper can do. Chaussette looking to instantly try and take something. The relating wave, as always, directly in front of the play.
Yeah, and you're just not going to have many mistakes to this guy to count. Relating wave, again, controlling the ball and baiting in a 50-50. Oh, Metza's not in a comfortable spot there, though. That's 1-0 for Semper. That timeout buff immediately effective. Metza Norris. Expect that he would have had that one covered. It looks like he just ended up in no man's land. Side onto the play.
Yeah, it's a horrible one when you arrive to the play too early. He's just turned around. Maybe, I don't know where his rotation was in. I don't know if he went back post or straight through the middle of the field. But it looked like he went through the middle of the field and realized, okay, I'm back. That's about as good as I've done in terms of positioning. I am completely out of this play. The 1-0. Oh, it's going to be off the post. And now it's a chance to break away. Archie, he's got a decent amount of booster just to keep trying to pressure this one. Chaussette goes straight for net, and Relating Wave will make no such positioning mistakes.
Oh, Met's actually not interested in headlocking with Archie there. I'm surprised to see that because Archie has been such a force to be reckoned with. Locking him up seems like a decent play, but maybe that's just not something that Endpoint have agreed to do in their bootcamp strategy talks. Chaussette with good positioning at the back post there, covering the only dangerous angle. Of course, he can lunge to the other side of the net, but once you've committed forward, you can't easily go back when you are driving a car. Seiko goes straight through this one, though. And what looked like Semper had under control very quickly went against him. Metza and Relating Wave are just so fast to recycle that play.
Decided to finally use the crossbar to their own advantage for that one. What a great setup that is. And Endpoint proving that they can be flashy, they can be tricky, just with a couple of disguise passes, but they can also go for the good old faithful of Rocket League. Hit the ball really hard off the backboard and make sure you're the quickest on the follow-up. Been there since Rocket League Season 0. It will always be nice and effective. Now an opportunity to find the lead. Themselves over to series point off the backboard. This is how they scored previously. This time not quite with the players in the right positions to crunch through another shot. Archie hands off to Castillo. Awkward bounce for everybody. Offset now. Tasked with trying to create something. Not the best touch either. That's going to invite Castillo in. He lays it off to Chaussette.
Oh.
Too high, but where's the follow? There it is. 2-1.
Chaussette showing that he's got a backup plan here. Fakes the shot. Instead goes to the backboard. That's baited 2 jumps out of Endpoint. And he's trusting Archie to place the shot as he comes in as the third man. So both teams are actually committing their third man and being rewarded. They're all attacking together as a unit. And they're confidently passing back to him with those backboard passes. Much safer than it going infield to your third man. Really impressive team play by both squads in offense.
Super helpful for that play from Chaussette. As we look to see this one just getting cleared. Is that when you see those infield passes come across, those shots are always so powerful that you have to respect it, as Archie has to respect this from Metza. There is no choice. You've got to jump. So the moment Chaussette makes the decision of, all right, well, I'm going to put it off the backboard, there's nothing the defense can do. You have to just assume this is going to be on net. Now see Chaussette looking to create yet another one. It's just so difficult right now for Endpoint to get rid of it. And Semper have made that adjustment that we wanted to see. That midfield is much more contested, and Endpoint really struggling to find any space. Castillo instantly with the half rotation. This is less about creating opportunities and just making sure that it's much more difficult to find a rhythm on Endpoint. In a couple of demos as well, Castillo gets rid of the third man. Finally, Seiko back into the play, back in for the save.
Yeah, it's all about those early challenges for Semper. It's working out wonderfully for them. No space really for Seiko to work with and make his magic happen compared to the earlier games that we saw between these two teams. Endpoint are not a one-trick pony. They're not just going to rely on Seiko to score solo goals. They will press late on in this one and attack with all 3 players, as they already have done in this game. Here's Metza. He's well saved by Castillo again. Full squad showing up for Semper consistently in defense here. Difficult saves being made every single time.
We were wondering what was said during that timeout. Whatever it was the right things, because these have been really good adaptations from them. Now, whether or not that's going to get them a game win is an entirely different matter, but they're 1 minute away from it. Metza, oh, not the landing he wanted, but that does at least invite Relating Wave to come in. Probably a Relating Wave who had more boost. Well, the worst thing actually for them. Still pressure on. Shot on net, right into the body of CeX's car. This is where Endpoint want to be, especially relating wave. What a cheeky play that was. Little fakes, not getting too pressured by the timer. It's actually crucial interception, and now he looks to break the other side.
Yeah, great read by Archie. Metz has actually just missed the back corner boost there for Endpoint. A couple of key boost pickups for Semper, helping them out here. Cassio deflects the ball into the corner as Metza was trying to drop it down. Relating wave will manage to do so in the midfield. Metza beats his man to the ball. Only one back right now for Semper, but it's Archie. Gets one touch on it, but it's not a good one. Seiko puts it into the open net. Archie was able to reach the ball, but he had to stall for a bit longer. His teammates are not back anytime soon.
It's just that moment right there when you're in that position on the backboard. You want the ball to be hitting the backboard, but it was just dropping down far too low for him. Couldn't get the hit on it, couldn't get under the ball. We're at 2 each. And more importantly, Endpoint could be a goal away from giving themselves 3 series points. Right! Archie scored! And it was a slow roller across the field. Here's his last hit. And that's all it took.
Oh, Cassio's faked that relating wave of beauty there. Not intentional by any means. He wanted to get a touch on that and just slam it into the roof of the net. But relating wave, anticipating a hit, ends up missing the ball. Now no time left for Endpoint. They've got to equalize on 0 seconds, and it's not going to happen. Semper keep up the streak of teams winning after they call a timeout and tie up the series in the process.
5-0 now for timeout teams. But none of these games have looked easy. I even feel like that game 1, the 4-1, that was very much not telling you the story of that one, considering I think we managed to hit every single bit of the woodwork about 2 different times each.
Yeah.
That could very well have been a completely different game. We are in. I'm just curious now as to who can break the other team, who can get that first really dominant game in their back pocket and start to pull away with a couple of victories. Right now, I'm looking across the field. Metza, he's been a little bit slower. I think ever since we complimented him, he's kind of taken a step back. This one was the most noticeable one for me, where he just didn't quite look comfortable on the field.
Yeah, we've got those 2 legends of the game, CeX and Metza. They're both trying to outdo each other. And then you've also got Seiko and Archie, very similar in what they're doing for their teams. And I think even Cassio relating wave at the moment, especially with Cassio really being quite a solid third for Semper whenever he's asked to be. We're seeing teams mirror each other very well here. It's just all about who can do more in this matchup. And I'm still leaning towards Endpoint personally. I like what I'm seeing from them. And although Semper have shut down Seiko in the last game pretty well, I think Seiko's still going to have one of those games in the next 2 or 3 where he's just going to score a goal that you cannot stop.
Yeah, the moment you start challenging him in the midfield is the moment we know Seiko's going to take the ball to get to the air. Take it over the top of you. Metza wipes out CeX.
Okay.
And Seiko did not need an outplay this time. Could walk it in.
Yeah, big play by Metza. He's hunting down CeX here. Look at the pathing over the small boost pads as well. He's darting left and right to keep up full momentum. Make it difficult for CeX to know which way he should be moving to dodge that demo. And Seiko did not need any help, or he didn't need to really work with the finish there. It was just wide open for him. Great stuff by Metza Norris.
Back to the midfield. Seiko almost caught Cassio out. Very static, waiting on the kickoff spot. CeX back down, wants his revenge. None too happy about being demoed for the first goal. There we go. Seiko's already taking the ball to the air a lot more. High-low challenges. Relating wave is challenged by Cassio. Does need a bit of support. Not the best hit, though, from CeX. Gives Seiko another opportunity. Reset from him. And Archie, strong enough just to get there as quick as possible, not allow any mid-air shenanigans to happen.
Yeah, it's a good read by Archie, anticipating the reset and the flick to the backboard by Seiko. You know that he's good enough to consistently hit those. You have to respect it. Semper have to keep up this midfield pressure. They're doing a much better job of it than earlier in the series. They've got more of a presence in the midfield. Relating wave is still, I think, the man who's got the most control, really working for Endpoint to keep their advantage. Good interception by CeX. As Relating wave looked to dart downfield and get a deflecting touch onto it. Metza quickly out to this one. Casio knocked onto his own back wall. That's going to actually be a favorable recovery for him. Well, Semper ready to go and attack here, but they are pretty spread out. They're not getting close-knit. There we go now. Finally a tight pass that's going to give Endpoint a more difficult reaction time. Endpoint still comfortable defending against this style.
Oh, Archie's got the opportunity, Seiko. I would like to call that a challenge. I don't think he considered that a challenge. That was a very easy victory for him to take control of that ball. And still, these teams desperate to just take out the goalkeeper, get the demo. Get yourself an easy goal. Much higher focus on them. Got another player gone. And we've got another goal scored.
Metza making plays. He sets up the first goal, scores the second one. And that's all on Casio. Just not the touch that he was looking for. He's trying to clear the ball across the box. Maybe get a second touch as it comes back off the sidewall. But he's missed it straight into the ceiling. And Metza is quick to react to the free ball. Another free goal for Endpoint. Semper have got 2 minutes and change to change the outcome of Game 5.
Well, that almost did not help. That's not quite able to be stretched towards by Metza. Seiko needed the second touch. He finds the second touch. Seems all too easy for him at the moment on the field. Josette looks for the infield. He's got Archie finally joining him, just a little bit off on the timing. And that leaves Casio all by himself. Every time you commit to these sort of plays, it leaves them vulnerable to death.
Oh!
But you're always vulnerable, though, to a Seiko outplay. That is just a fact of being on the server.
Look at the tight angle rebound here from Seiko. He doesn't even knock it in with the wheels. He's confident that he's got that angle on lock. Slams it down. There it is. There's your big Seiko play. It was inevitable. It's happened already. You know, the only downside for Endpoint is they're maybe thinking, Seiko, come on, man, you could have saved that for Game 6. We're already up by 2. It doesn't hurt to be up by 3 now. Coasting to a 3-2 lead in the series.
Do you think Seiko does it because he wants everyone to know how good he is? Or do you think he does it because he just wants to see Metza smile every time they go in? It's a great little motivator that you would have.
That is actually so true. I mean, if you've got Metza sitting to the side of you, and every time you make a big play, you get to look at him smiling, you might be onto something here. Metza's going to try and go all the way himself here against Josette, who's out of boost. Metza puts it through him. Second goal for the Finn. Seiko actually wanted a piece of that as well. They're queuing up to take on Josette 1v1.
Well, it'll be nothing but smiles, as you can see, after that one goes in. That is game done. I asked who was going to be the first team to truly dominate one. This is it. Endpoint, 4-0. It would take a catastrophic collapse for them not to take this, especially Metza with a hat trick. And what a hit. Talk about clean.
Metza had a couple hiccups in the last game, but he's been on fire in Game 5. Really helping his team do so much damage to Semper. And it's tough to imagine Semper bouncing back from rough defeats like this. We've seen Endpoint, you know, that if they were losing 5-0 Game 5, they'd all still be smiles and no problems, and maybe a timeout, and they come back in Game 6, ready for action. It's going to be really interesting to see how Semper respond to the thrashing they've just suffered in this game.
Yeah, we've seen... It's almost been difficult, actually, for a lot of European teams this weekend, where things have been going wrong. Things have started going really wrong. Now it's up to Semper to show whether or not they've got that edge to the game. One thing playing at your best, the thing about refinding your best in a series like this. That is as well without their timeout anymore available. Endpoint maybe could always be very nice to them. Very unlikely to do so.
We're just flexing on him at this point. A defensive pinch across his own box. They know that this is not a throwable lead. And they will lead by that crucial game going into the business end of the series. And no timeout available for Semper. They've already used it. It got them one win immediately afterwards, but Endpoint responded with a 5-0 without even having to take a timeout. They just had a quick word between games and got right back into what looked like by far the best performance from them. It had a bit of everything. Relating Wave just silently controlling the midfield. Seiko got the huge solo play. Metza was mechanically brilliant. What does Semper do from here? It's a really tough question. They don't have much time to figure that out.
Yeah, this has been... I mean, we got this over from our Statsman Direct earlier on about how much this has been... You know, you mentioned earlier on about the two talisman. We talked about Archie, talked about CeX. Archie is currently that player over on Semper. He's had 87.5% goal participation.
It's crazy.
He is not finding angles if he's not finding space. He's not giving much to his team. And that's full credit. You know, that is not a knock on Archie whatsoever. There's only so much you can be expected to do at that kind of level. But for Endpoint, just how quickly they adapt to the situation ahead of them is exceptional.
Whoa!
Chaussette! Well, that came out of absolutely nowhere.
What a shot by CeX. Was well saved, and it just shows the respect that Semper have got to this guy, that even from angles like that, even from positions like these, they are still ready for the potential shots on target, as you always have to be when you're up against a player like CeX. Even the most difficult reset setups, Semper have respected them on those. They've been ready to save them, which is a testament to how well they defend, but also a testament to the respect they've got for CeX as a player.
So, gotta win 2 in a row now if you're a Semper fan. Otherwise, you're up against it. You're one more series away from having coming second, and Endpoint might be marching towards their second tournament victory of the split. Back into the midfield. Met's up. For his chance. It's back down. CeX, he scored! Of course he scored!
What a pass by Metza, though. Takes it from the midfield up onto the sidewall, catches it on the sidewall before coming down off the ceiling to center the ball. And CeX just has to deflect it on target. That was exquisite in the assist department from Metza.
Well, Endpoint have started well. CeX looks to keep adding to it. There's no way.
Goodness.
Metza just has to turn it in. CeX is styling in a grand final of the European Grand Prix.
Oh, just too strong. CeX just muscles it through 2. Wave dash 50-50 after outplaying the first man with a lean back reset as well. Truly unbelievable. First we had Metza setting up CeX, and now CeX setting up Metza. The 1-2 punch combination is something that Semper have not been able to rival. They've combined well with the occasional passing play, and they've had reasonable solo play potential as well, but it's that synergy between CeX and Metza at the moment that Semper have absolutely no answer to.
The great strategy in Rocket League where you can simply turn to a player like CeX and just go, yeah, just go and smash him, mate. Easy enough. We'll go and clean up and score the goal after the fact. I cannot believe the level he has found in these past few games. I don't think even Semper can either. This has been quite something to try and behold. Off the backboard, Semper looking to just get something going here. Now, quick reminder, there's only 2 goals with more than half the game left, so they can still do this. Just got to quiet CeX down a little bit. Even more than that, they need to see at least a little bit of prolonged time on the opposing side of the field. Chaussette going to give them exactly that. Back down again, Castillo infield. Archie, he needs it.
Wow.
Instead, that's a lot of players committed. Still got possession of the ball. Lower boost now for everybody on the field. And that includes Chaussette, who couldn't find any way of opening up the defense.
Oh, that could be it. Here. Oh, what a save as well with the pre-flip from CeX. They're on the back foot, but they're controlling all these Semper shots, and they've always got someone ready to block these passes, or even more importantly, the shots on target. What an impressive performance Endpoint are putting up today when they won the first event of this RLCS season for EU. We thought that had to be the peak for them. I mean, look at the run. They beat Misfits, KC, and then BDS twice. How are they topping it somehow? I really feel like they've looked even better in this run through the bracket. It's just a completely different team from Endpoint and Swiss. They found a way to just peak in the bracket play. What a save by Relaying Wave! Castillo must have thought that was in. Not to be, though. Relaying Wave, once again, savior for Endpoint.
Could even be 3 if they keep this pressure up. It's off the side. Archie, he'll be wondering what on earth is it going to take. What is the level of play required to score a goal on an Endpoint performing at this kind of level? There's a demo on the third man. Jose, he's got to make this work now. He's got to find some sort of setup. Puts the ball into the air. Seiko has enough boost to keep that one covered. 1 minute on the clock. Shot on target. Not enough. Just try to get a little bit of a gap in the defense. Find their first big opportunity of the game. Even when they have found those ridiculously good opportunities, it has been a marvelous save just to deny them. Now a chance to make it 3. Not really going to get much from that angle. Asio looks to control. That's just guides the ball away. 30 seconds now, Johnny. Seiko with control of the ball. Seiko with control of the entire series from the looks of it.
Oh, wow. There it is. Relating Wave just finds a way through. Look at the outplays from Endpoint again and again. They are just not letting Semper get touches, and can't really blame Casio for throwing himself at that one. Hard to tell if it's in from that angle. And the posts outplayed him as Metza comes in for yet another goal. Great end to the series he's had. Endpoint completely destroying Semper in these last 2 games. And they have not had to use a timeout to turn this series around. They have just done it. Probably, if I were to guess, based off of bootcamp vibes. I just want to be there looking at their face cams. Why can't we cast from there? Sounds like a good time. Going to be first series to Endpoint. And Semper have got a lot of thinking to do before the next one gets started.
Yep, there is Series 1 secured for Endpoint. Half the job done as they look to get their second tournament win of the split. They were not a one-shot wonder. They are here to be one of the true titans of the European scene. And now, Johnny, only 4 more games away from being the top team for Europe heading into Stockholm. For Semper, I mean, you can talk what you want between each other, but unless Seiko calms down a little bit, you really do wonder what fight that can there possibly be left in this.
Yeah. I mean, they're just getting outplayed, simply. The defense looks a lot more solid for Endpoint. The midfield pressure, again, you have to give that to Endpoint. The solo plays, Endpoint again. Even your team play, your synergy, I think I'm seeing more of that from Endpoint, although Semper have had their moments also. They're just getting across the board outplayed, even in the physical element of the game. They need to just level up in every single category and really just go for this one. Because if they just sit back and do what they sometimes, I think, do too much and just play on that back foot, it's not going to work. Endpoint are just too consistent with it. They've got that rock in the back relating Wave, who is not going to be out of position at all. You're just not going to get free goals against these guys. Yeah, big changes needed for Semper if they're going to get 2 straight against Endpoint today.
Yeah, absolutely nobody out of position over on Endpoint. And I know we won't be out of position when we come back from this break. We'll be sat here ready to go for series number 2.